Hello everyone, it's me, Aaliyah. It's been a heck of a long time, hasn't it? I think it's within another 3 weeks or so. I think it's going to be about 2 years since I last posted, so I hope this video finds you well. And I'm here to share what's been going on with me, where I've been, why it's taken forever to come back and post something here, and bring you up to date and talk about what I'm hoping to do coming up. So first of all, I've got some trusty notes over here. And I want to say that I am kind of like uber stressed recording this, but I'm recognizing through the help of a therapist that if I keep waiting for a time when I start feeling less stressed and less depressed and less blue, I'm going to be waiting probably a very long time. And the sooner I can try to push myself to do the things that make me uncomfortable, to reach out and connect with others, likely the sooner I'll start getting better. So here we are. What prompted my actually recording this is that I was able to send out a few Christmas e-cards. I had wanted to send out physical ones, and then my anxiety got the better of me, and while I had them all set and I had stamps to different countries around the world for people who I wanted to send the cards to, I delayed and procrastinated so much that didn't work. So I went through my email accounts to try to find the email addresses from some of you who I've connected with through my channel, and I sent off a few cards that way, and so many kind, loving people responded. And one of the responses included a link to a live stream where Sabine Davis and Tennielle Xmas were talking together on a live stream yesterday, Christmas Day. And so I joined them impromptu, just like that. No makeup, no nothing. But I figured, okay, let's just jump in. And I thought, you know what, now's the perfect time to follow up and come in and say hello to all of you and share where I have been. So in the last 2 years, I have, I think, experienced the worst depression, major depressive episode that I have had in the last 3 decades or so. It's been very, very deeply entrenched, very hard to fight against, if you will. And this time, along with the depression, has come a great degree of not only social anxiety, but also generalized anxiety disorder, which I hadn't had before. A number of this, a lot of this was triggered, I think, by the fact that it's almost 2.5 years ago now that I had my RNY, or Rouen-Y, gastric bypass surgery. And I was very excited about that and very well prepared for it, or so I thought. And the support that I kind of took for granted that I thought would be there was not. And I'm not speaking to the kind individuals that I have made online. I'm talking to about closer people, more particularly, of course, family. And that really threw me for a loop. I have been hurt by family members previously, particularly my parents when I was younger. Some of you who've, listened to my story before know that I suffered a number of abuses for many years throughout my childhood and young adolescence. And, that has programmed my brain in a certain way to respond to stressors in life. I tend to bear all of the responsibility for things going wrong on my shoulders. And I did that also with people's response to me when I had the weight loss surgery. And at first I was extremely successful, and I lost about 100 pounds or so. And I'm now at the point where, through self-sabotage, I have regained 10 of those pounds. But I am working now finally with a therapist through the bariatric surgery program here in Montreal, which thankfully is covered by our Medicare insurance here in Canada. And that's a conversation for another day, because people will say that's a great blessing. And yes, it is. I will not dispute that at all. But it is paid for very heavily through our taxes. And So I'm just saying that so you're not too jealous. We do pay for it in many different ways. But yes, I'm sorry if I'm going all over the place. Like I said, I'm stressed and I'm trying to keep my thoughts together. But with the depression, I have a fair amount of brain fog and it's hard to stay focused. So if you can bear with me, I'd appreciate it. Thank you. And so when the support wasn't there, and I suspect it wouldn't be there to the degree that I had wanted, but I thought, okay, I'm going to be getting support through the bariatric team, through the unit that, you know, organizes the surgery and then does the follow-up for 2 years following. What I did not anticipate was that because this was still a time when COVID was rather active, the follow-ups were not at all in person. They weren't even on, let's say, Zoom or Google Teams, Gmail Teams, whatever they're called. But we're instead every 3 months, like a 5-minute follow-up on the telephone. And for my purposes, particularly because of the way some of my abuse was carried out through conversations that I overheard on the phone with my mother, planning get-togethers with my abuser, I have never done well with really personal issues on the phone. I much prefer face-to-face. I'm much more trusting when I can get all the information, read all of the body language cues. And so I really struggled with that. I did not have a therapist through the program at that time. That only started sometime earlier this year in 2023, which is why I am now getting back to getting on track and making progress. So that contributed to the depression quite significantly, the lack of support as well. There have been financial stressors. I try to keep things very private, but my husband does, he has his own like side business in addition to his main job. He has an educational background in psychology, and he does a lot of marriage coaching, and he is actually very, very good at it. He's teamed up with a major network in the States, and he's had clients internationally that he works with through Zoom. But in terms of our own marriage, we've had a lot of struggles, and the finances have been very erratic. My husband came into the marriage with his own issues, just like I brought my kit and caboodle. And we each have our strengths, we each have our shortcomings, and financial management is one of his, and that's a whole other long story, which I can, you know, talk about separately in another video. But all of these pressures put together, without the lack of any family support, and without the ability to discuss all of these issues with somebody, no family members. I generally didn't discuss it with any close confidants here in our neighborhood, where we have most of our friends that we see regularly, because, you know, I wanted to keep things private, particularly for, you know, my husband. I don't mind embarrassing myself, but I certainly don't want to go ahead and embarrass anybody else. And while many people use their channels on YouTube to discuss their challenges and their issues and what they're facing, it is something that I have largely shied away from. I think my tendency to do that comes also from my experiences as a child, where holding things together with my parents and helping my mother through her mental health struggles, which sometimes were, you know, life-threatening to her, made me feel that I was always the one people turned to, either for strength or to lift them up or to boost them. And I very much feel that when I have nothing to offer anybody, and particularly instead of actually not having anything, I only have negative things to offer, and I'm fearful of bringing them down, then I withdraw socially. And I give across, I think, the wrong impression that I don't care when people reach out to me. It makes such a huge difference, and I am uber grateful. I just feel that if I reach back, then I'm taking their strength and their energy and their happiness, and all I can do is bring them down, because I can't summon up the energy in myself to be positive or cheery, or all of those good things that I would like to be, so that when somebody leaves a conversation with me, whether it's, through text or in a comment on a video, or through video conversation or whatever it may be, I want them to be able to leave feeling better than, or at least the same, than when we got together, and not worse. So that's one of the reasons why I withdraw socially. I think the other reason has been also that when support and real understanding and patience and caring come from your friends and let's say online friends, but they're not coming from those closest to you, it becomes very, very painful. And at this, I mean, being aware of the lack of getting that love and support where you need it the most. As well, though, it sort of feeds into, I guess, an impression that I had of myself through the abuses I suffered growing up, that I am just not worthwhile, and I have nothing to offer anybody, that I am, dust under people's feet, to use a nicer image than what I'm actually thinking of. And that the kindness that I get from people online is just because, well, they don't know me well enough. If they knew me well enough, they wouldn't like me at all. They wouldn't offer their caring and their support, and that's what I tell myself. Because when you grew up being, abused, and your parents either organized that abuse, they participated in it themselves, they are the instigators themselves, and or you turn to them and you bring your pain and suffering to their attention and they do nothing about it, you can't help but have a very strongly and firmly established view of yourself as being utterly worthless. So all of these factors contribute into my then totally withdrawing and not showing up. I am going to try very hard now, especially through the encouragement of the therapist that I now have, and God bless her. Thank God she's so patient with me, to share myself more freely here. And I don't want to bring anybody down. So if you have been kind and you've been here for my videos previously and you've tried to be supportive and encouraging, and you think anything I'm going to have to share is going to bring you down, then please, don't watch, don't listen, don't anything. If you want to drop a little, smiley face or a little heart or something as a comment, just to let me know you're out there, that's great. And if what I'm sharing, is not for you at all, then please, feel free to unsubscribe. I will never take it personally, not at all. I do fully understand. So going forward, I am going to try to be here on a regular basis. Some people choose, I've still got my notes here, I'm going to post them up on the furniture where I've leaned my phone, because I don't know where my tripod is. Let me go off on a tangent. You see like this little, little frame of what's in the camera picture over here, and it looks pretty neat, right? Well, the whole room around this is a total disaster. And I can't even find my tripod. Which, yeah, then brings me to something else. And here we go, I'm all over the place. So if you're still here, God bless you for your patience. I actually thought, and I think it was sometime in December, that, what, I've got to try to get back onto YouTube so I can start talking to people and connecting and share what I'm going through. And I thought, I'm going to start another channel related to this one. And then when I've built up a little bit of, emotional strength, then I will share those videos here and or give you a link to go check them out or whatever. So I actually uploaded 2 videos, and in one of them I showed the disaster of this room. So if, you're able to get through this video and still have a reasonably kind and patient understanding, a favorable opinion, go check that out. And you can test your ability to maintain that. God bless you. I mean, it's a disaster. I have a whole ton of decluttering and tidying and cleaning and sorting to do. And it's one of the things actually that really drags me down. Like when we struggle with our finances, I feel responsible for that because, for many years, I worked in financial management and handled like government contracts and all sorts of stuff, and managed a few different departments and like a $20 million budget, and yet here I am, and we're struggling financially because I haven't handled that well. And a long time ago, when we had our first home that we had purchased, and I had broken off our engagement a couple of years before we actually ended up getting married, we sold that property. And the real estate agents said they were always thrilled to show it because it was so beautifully decorated and always so clean and organized, and everybody who saw it loved it. And yet here I am today, and you know, I have a hard time focusing and thinking clearly, even though previously I've done really well with that. I used to be meticulous about stuff. Everything was clean and tidy and lovely, and everything is a total disaster now. And I surrounded myself with this, and I seem to be regularly giving myself the message, you know, Aaliyah, you're failing, you're doing a lousy job. And so one of the watchwords, I'm going to choose a few for 2024. I'm going to do a separate video about that, much shorter than this one, I promise. One of my watchwords is going to be feedback. A lot of people feel that if they set a goal and or they want to establish habits, or you know, they have certain practices that they follow regularly, but they start slipping or they don't achieve them, they consider that a failure. And I've considered myself a failure so many times in life. And instead, I'm going to try to wipe that word out of my vocabulary and say instead that the other F word is feedback. That if I'm not achieving something, even though I'm trying my best, or I think I'm trying my best, or I want to and I can't even get myself motivated, I'm going to say, you know what? This is feedback for me to consider. Why am I hesitating in making progress here? What are the obstacles? What are the issues perhaps behind the scenes subconsciously that are preventing me from, you know, making any advancement, any kind of progress? And I'm going to try to wipe that word failure out of my vocabulary because it hasn't served me at all. It's only made things worse. So I've done a lot of talking so far, and I'll bring you up to date on other things in other videos. Coming off of one of the medications that I'm taking. It's a stimulant, and it was prescribed as, sorry, my nose is a little itchy, as a booster for my antidepressant, but I want to get off of the stimulants. I'm concerned about my brain health, and I don't want it anymore, so I'm working on that. I am going to try to find my tripod sometime in the next few weeks so I can make a better, more attractive video for you guys. And I think the next video that I'm going to put out, and that should hopefully be in the next couple of days, will be a very short one. It's going to be a shout out for a journal collaboration that the channel Life with Patti is going to be hosting throughout all of 2024, and it sounds like a lot of fun. So those of you who have been closest to me here on the channel, I think many of you share some of similar interests with me, and I'm going to share that collab with you, tell you what it's all about, so that if you want to check it out and participate, you can do so. Then I'm going to have a video. We're going to talk about what I'm calling my RNY rescue, how I'm going to rescue my gastric bypass surgery and finally drop the rest of the weight. I'm going to talk about what an emotional challenge it is to deal with having been obese, and all of the things that have kept me wanting to stay safe and fat, and the struggles with overcoming that. I mean, weight loss surgery is great. I really want to put out some videos that are going to be helpful to other people, to explain to them that weight loss surgery is just really a very minor tool in dealing with a protracted and lengthy weight loss struggle in your life. I have never come across anybody in the videos that I've seen or people I've talked to either through the program or who I've met who has been substantially overweight, like seriously obese, who has not had psychological reasons for wanting to maintain that weight. So that's something that I really want to make clear to people out there who are considering weight loss surgery, because unless you do the psychological work, which is the hardest and it is actually the most painful, you know, that surgery is only going to get you so far. So that's all still going to be coming up. And then I'm going to be talking about what my channel plans are for 2024. I want to become the disciplined individual that I used to be. I used to be great at setting goals and meeting them. Boom, 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 boom. I want to become that person once again. And I'm also going to talk about my personal goals outside of the channel, what I hope to achieve in this coming year. So once again, if you're still here, thank you very much. I really cannot convey enough what that means to me and how much the love and kindness you and others have shown me throughout these last couple of years has meant a lot. There have been emails that I haven't answered, DMs on whether it was my Instagram account or my Twitter or here on YouTube, and you know, there's no excuse for that. I can explain to you where I've been holding, but there's no excuse for that. I should have just said, I just can't, thank you, but I can't be in touch now, but it means a lot to me, and I was just too afraid to do that. So I want to stop being weak and selfish in that regard, and instead share how appreciative I am and do differently going forward. So thank you very much for listening. Thank you for being here, and I wish you only the best for the coming year and for the rest of the holiday season. Okay, thank you so much. Take good care. I'll be back with you soon. Bye for now.